Now is the chance to use reliable energy to grow your money with the Dominion Energy Reliability Investment. Our new investment product offers competitive returns, no maintenance fees, and flexible online access to your money. Make the reliable investment in reliable energy. The Dominion Energy Reliability Investment. To find out more, go online to reliabilityinvestment.com. That's reliabilityinvestment.com.
Hey, it's Steve. Welcome to Murder Monday. And usually I try to record an intro that is, I don't know, just kind of filling you in on something or maybe teasing the episode or telling you what's going on. But honestly, I don't have anything really to report. So I'm not going to waste more of your time. Look at that. A podcast host not wasting time, just talking. And now it just feels like I'm still talking. So let's get to the new Murder Monday. Hi, this is Steve. This is the Murder Monday podcast, and this is called 3 Men and a Murder. Susie Casey was a 34-year-old mother of 4 living in the small town of Glendive, Montana. The mother had her share of ups and downs. She'd been married twice, and by April of 2008, she just wanted a night out. So she did. She was dropped off just about 20 feet from the front steps of her apartment. It was 5 a.m., and she was never seen alive ever again. Susan grew up a country girl, participating in sports and 4-H in high school. She then went on to become a nurse. She married, divorced, had 2 kids, married a second time, had 2 more kids, and then divorced again. In April of 2008, Susan had recently separated from her second husband, but she was settling into her new life as both a single mother and her own person. Described as easygoing and kind, it never seemed like she'd be the victim of a crime. And on that evening before she was last seen, Susan was with a man named Brad Holzer, who she had been romantically involved with. Brad had picked up Susie at around 11 p.m. They drove to the river to have some drinks, and then Brad said he dropped her off at 5 a.m., but did not see her enter the apartment. The next day, her children and relatives called Susie at her apartment, and she never answered, so police went to check up on her. She wasn't there, but there were some clues. Unmistakable clues. Marks on her door. Marks at the apartment that seemed to look like someone had forcefully dragged her out from her apartment, which turned into a thorough search. About a month later, Susie Casey's body was found, floating in the Yellowstone River. She was dead before her body even hit the water. She had been strangled to death with considerable force. The young mother was dead, and there were 3 main suspects, all who had been major forces in her life. The first was the last person to see her alive, Brad Holzer. But then there was her second husband, who had recently become estranged, named Ted. And then, of course, her first husband, Marty. They had actually all been near the scene of the crime before Susan had gone missing. Somebody wanted Susan Casey dead. Was it one of the men in her life, or possibly someone else? We'll find out next on Murder Monday. Susie Casey went missing from her home in April of 2008. She was never to be seen alive ever again. Before finding her lifeless body floating in the Yellowstone River, investigators saw marks on her door of her apartment. It appeared that a body had been dragged from it. She was described by many as a fun-loving and kind person. Everyone was surprised at the thought that she would be the victim of a crime. Investigators had a clear suspect at first, her new fling, Brad. They had gone down to the river the night before to have a drink. He said that he had left her at her apartment at 5 a.m. and gone home. Likely story. But he has a surprise alibi. Brad's wife. Brad was still married. They were sleeping in separate rooms, and his wife actually reports seeing him sleeping in that separate room a few minutes after 5:30 a.m. Obviously not enough time to get rid of a body, but what was she doing up at 5:30 a.m. and why was she checking in on her husband? Well, she too was seeing someone else, another man. and when she had gotten home around 5:30, Brad's wife wanted to make sure that he didn't know where she was. Police then checked up on her newly estranged second husband, Ted. He too had an alibi. Finally, her first husband, Marty. He claimed at first to have been 3 hours away, but then police got lucky because they spotted Marty's truck at a nearby bank around 8:30 in the morning the day she disappeared. Which is strange because, again, he lived 3 hours away. At first, he claimed to have come down to check on his kids and his ex after she hadn't responded to any of his calls, but that's strange. Because a second surveillance camera spotted him near her apartment even before she was dropped off at 5 a.m. in the morning. Prosecutors now believe the first ex-husband, Marty, thought that there was a chance of getting back together with his ex. Because back in 2007, when Susan and her second husband, Ted, separated, Marty had wholeheartedly believed that he had a chance of getting back together with her, permanently. So, when he found out about the relationship with Brad, Marty was furious. So much so that he started leaving numerous anonymous messages and aggressive emails for Susie. Susie's first husband, Marty, had the motive and the opportunity to kill. A search of his van later revealed that the interior showed signs of harsh and vigorous cleaning, and therefore Marty was arrested and charged for the murder of Susan Casey. It was a clear-cut case. Marty Larson, Susan Casey's first husband, was arrested and sentenced to 100 years in prison for the murder.